You're writing songs, wearing a nice waistcoat, think you're gonna do the sweet boy thing. You come out, the girl you like, her two friends, they step into my man's Mercedes compressor. It's peak. Why do some girls like bad boys and why do good guys finish last? Why is it when you're growing up or when people are younger, in some cases, why is it that some people go for bad boys? Why is it that bad boys seem to be the rage to some people, when, you know, some girls, when they're growing up? And I think it's because it's a psychological thing as well. So not being mature enough to know what it is you really want. So why I say that is this, like, it's not a secret. When, you know, you ask people about romance, men, women about romance, you know, they, back in the day, you always knew that, okay, you want somebody that's, you know, if you're asking a woman what she wants in a man, she wants somebody that's a protector. She wants somebody that, you know, loves her, makes her feel good, also stable, you know, has a good job, you know, is able to, you know, keep the house safe, all that kind of stuff, make her feel safe and secure and all of those things. And it's funny because when you look at grown women and stuff like that, that can make sense. When they say that, they can say that, they can say, you know, he needs to have, you know, sometimes you can see he needs to have a certain amount of money. And in sometimes you can actually see people that have a realistic worldview and they can actually say he just needs to have, you know, be able to take care of himself and also have, you know, two sticks to rub together. So when we rub stick together, there's four sticks and we have, you know, we have a table. So what I realized as well is that, you see, when we were growing up, like, that wasn't the case. So I'll give an example, yeah? There was a situation where one of the homies, he liked a girl, he was talking to her, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, he was, you know, making her laugh, all that kind of stuff. The girl now goes, oh, bye, whatever. One of the local man them that's on a different type of stuff, pulls up in a big boy whip. And you're thinking, me and you are the same age. How do you have that whip? Who knows? Anyway, pulls up in the big boy whip. Goes, hey, what are you girls saying? Girls like, oh, bye. They look at me, look at my brethren. Okay, turn in his car. Her two friends in the car. My guy took the babes, gone. That was it. There was no competition after that. The girls were with him, whatever. And I'll never forget, back then we were talking like, why is it like, what's going on? Like, man can't even do that. Like, what's going on? Man can't even compete with that. How am I supposed to compete? Like, why do they always want someone that's not? And you realize that it comes from, it's just immaturity and not understanding the underlying attributes that are actually attractive. So if you think of it logically, yeah, let's say from 16 all the way to 25, yeah? Let's give it 16 to 25. That's usually the times where you hear a lot of guys complaining where they're going, oh, some girls are on the bad man, some girls on the bad man. Why is this? The reason is it makes sense. The reason is because at 16, let's say 16 to 25, let's say, yeah? At 16 years old, you're in full-time education, you don't really have money, you're not working. Yeah? So at that point, at that age in your life, you're not really doing, like, you're a normal average person. You don't have the money to provide. You don't have anything to show that you have money. You might get pocket money from your parents. If your parents hook you up with nice clothes here and there, that makes sense. But you shouldn't, because if you're living a straight and narrow, you're still finding yourself. You're still a kid. You're still finding yourself. You don't have any money, nothing to show because you're in full-time education. Now, if you now flip that, if someone's living a certain life, doing things they shouldn't be doing, and getting money and funds from that, they're now in a position where they can have a certain types of clothes, they can have certain jewelry, things that show wealth that if you look at it on paper, if you're living legit and the straight and narrow, that shouldn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. There's also the other part of it, which I think a lot of people kind of don't think about, is the dominance, the confidence in yourself at that point. So if somebody's living a certain life, maybe where they've been in a lot of fights, they're, you know, ultra combative lifestyle where everything it's been a mad lifestyle, there's a certain like reference point where, okay, you've been in a scuffle with like 5 different people. Talking to a girl, it's not gonna be like off-putting because you're like, I've been through worse. This is nothing. So there's a certain confidence, there's a certain like unruly, like braggadocious confidence that can come with that. So that's also another thing. So it's that confidence forged from that type of lifestyle or forged from being a rule breaker is now going to be attractive because it's like, oh, this, you got one person on one hand kind of, trying to stuttering to ask you out on a date, and you've got someone else on the other hand that's like, hey, what you doing? What are you doing tomorrow? All right, what's your number? We're going out. Like, that's going to be more attractive. Confidence is attractive. It's an attractive thing to most people. So I think in some cases, that's the underlying thing. Back in the day, like caveman days, where the man that can go out and hunt, kill the animals, bring them back, or the leader of the pack, the leader of the tribe, was always the one that the women always wanted because he was able to be secure. Even when you look at some people talk about the height thing, it's got things to do with physical attribute, physical dominance. Like, if you see someone that's like 6'5", you have to look up to them. It's like there's a dominance. They are powerful looking. And there's a psychological thing there about power and dominance and how you look. So it goes back to that. Then it also goes back to when you look at things like, if you're going to have children and stuff like that, it can also mean that you want somebody that has resources to provide for you and the offspring, to take care of you and your children and all that kind of stuff. So I think that there's so many like different factors. It's a multifaceted thing to look at. But what I think is when you see it with some people, especially in the early 20s and stuff like that, or teenage years and stuff like that, you got to look at it and just say that it's an undeveloped, it's an immature mind at that point, because it looks good. You know that there's something interesting about that. You know there's something interesting about the guy that's got flashy things when he shouldn't, that is confident. And then he's also got that thing where, because maybe they're always fighting or stuff like that, it's, oh yeah, my man's gonna protect me kind of thing. The guy that's always in the scuff, the guy that always wins the fights, somehow always had girls around him. Like, and the girls would be like, oh, that's my man in the front. Like, I'll never forget, there was one of the man them, and he was like, yeah, like, I get into scuffs, I get into fights. And I was like, okay, yeah. And he was like, the girls love it. They love it. Anytime I talk to girls, if they see a group of, like, if they see beef kicking off and they see me in there and I'm always winning, they love that. The advice I would give to, the younger generation, whatever, that are going through that is, don't worry about that. Don't keep doing your thing. They will come back around later on. Because the reality of it is that it's just an immature mind. Because if you think of it logically, I think they say your brain, the long-term thinking in your brain, does not develop until you're like 25 or something like that, or your 30s. I think it doesn't finish until you're 30. Don't quote me on that, but that's when your long-term thinking is there. So when you're younger, when you're in your teenage, mid-teenage years, up to your mid-20s, that long-term thinking of what's good for you is not there. Like, how many times do you see situations where there's certain girls that were dating certain people when we were those ages, and you take the mick out of them now, and they're like, I can't believe I was doing that. What was I thinking? You weren't thinking. That's the whole point. Like, you weren't thinking. It is what it is. You weren't thinking, and you're only going by what intrigued you, what felt good at the time. It didn't matter if it made sense on paper. It didn't matter if it was what was good for you long term. It didn't matter if it was sensible. You just chose to do that. But it's sad, because the problem is now is that, the younger generation see that, and then they try and emulate that. So this is why you can see situations where, in some cases, some man will see that, and then they start thinking, okay, that guy's getting all the attention and he's living this lifestyle. I can't compete with that lifestyle, so I'm going to go and jump on that lifestyle, and then maybe that's where I'm going to get action and stuff like that. And it's silly. It doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people need to realize, look, that lifestyle, if you're living that lifestyle, it don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's a trap. Anyone that goes through that lifestyle and comes out the other end will always tell you that it wasn't worth it. It's not worth that. You know, if you can avoid it, avoid it. It's not all that glitters. It's not gold. And it's getting worse with social media now because everyone's doing lifestyle. So now you're seeing people at 20, 21 saying, my man needs to take me here, needs to do this. All these crazy financial expectations that don't make sense. They don't make sense. It's not sensible. It doesn't make sense for you to be able to provide these things. You've just come out of full-time education. Maybe you've just come out of uni. Maybe you've got a job you're doing. You're just early in your career. You might not be earning the money to provide certain things here and there when it needs to be done. You've not even got the confidence level yet in yourself to be able to do that. When you're young, you're just figuring yourself out. You've not grown up yet. You've not experienced anything. I remember a situation where when he was younger, he had a crush on a girl, whatever. She went off with whatever, the bad guys, whatever, the people that were, quote unquote bad boys at the time. And, he couldn't compete with a lifestyle, whatever. Lo and behold, years have gone by now. My man's, gone uni, he's got a decent job now. He's doing his thing. He's gone gym. He's grown up. He's confident now in himself. The life has, taught him a lot. Life experiences happen. We've gone out somewhere. We've seen her after years. Now he's looking confident, he's presentable, whatever. And now she's coming back around, like trying to give him, attention, trying to get him to get her number, that kind of thing. And I remember just looking and going, it's funny, like back in the day, when she was going through that bad boy phase, this would never have happened. But now it's happening. You just done your thing and now it's there. Didn't really go anywhere in the end because he was like, the decision making at that point, it was like, nah, I don't really, it just didn't appeal to him at that point anymore. But what I'm saying is that it's an immaturity thing. It seems good because people just don't understand what it is they really want. They don't analyze the deeper meaning of that. So, and you even see it when people are growing up. So you see it in different ways. So for instance, it wasn't always just only bad boys. There was other ways that some people used to attract people. So you might have the bad boys in school or whatever growing up or uni, whatever. You would have had the funny people, the people that they knew they were confident. They were always witty. They always knew how to have a good reply to anything that was said. They're always funny. So they were cool with everyone. Those people also, there was a way they were distinguishing themselves that you could look at them and go, oh, that person used to get attention. They were just funny. They could always tell a joke. They could always tell a story. They could always capture everyone's attention. And that was attractive because it was confident. Yet again, so, that confidence doesn't just come in that package, but some people don't realize that. You only realize that as you grow and get older and you start to explore life. He had the other people that they may be not as funny, but they would, when it came to sports, they knew how to play sports. They could run the fastest, they could play football, like they were always that person. Or they might have been like in really good shape, they might have been like that sports athlete that always used to be, when it comes to the school race, they're always first place or they're always in the top 3. You had those people. Then, you also had the people that maybe not as confident. Maybe they were just quiet and, maybe they observed a lot, but they just hadn't had that confidence yet to really come out of their shell. And you see situations like that as well. So when you've got all these different types of people together, the reality, the underlying thing is I think anyway, is the confidence. It's the ability to look at someone and say, okay, this person is going to make something of themselves in the future. I think those are like the underlying things. But the problem is when you're not mature yet, I think in some cases, you then end up with people looking for that in places that don't make sense. So at 18, 19, 21, let's say, if you go to university with your peers, you're all coming out looking out for graduate jobs. You're not going to have the money to take someone out. You're not going to have the wealth. You've not had time to accumulate wealth. I think, what do they say? The average age of like, you know, I think millionaires is like 50 or something like that. Like, it takes time to accumulate wealth. It takes time to get the experience to do that. So it would be unfair for you to expect that from someone at 21, 22, 25 even sometimes, because there hasn't been enough time. But then there are other people that are living a certain life where now they can do that because what they're doing is not legit. And that thing comes with a price. It comes with a heavy price. So it's like you see situations like that where, you know, people get jaded, people take it to heart, and they like, oh, they can't compete. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes in those situations, you just have to leave it and say, you know what? That situation isn't for you. And you can't beat yourself up about it either. You can't, because end of the day, as people get older, they're gonna go, you know what? It's not for me. It doesn't make sense. And you see it. You might see they were entertaining a certain situation, and you're like, this isn't a good situation for you. What are you doing? And then there's a certain age where it starts to fizzle out, where it's like, all right, this is not making sense. Like, you can't get a mortgage, you can't, even certain places you can't go because of certain situations. It doesn't make sense anymore. And then now you start to realize, oh, okay, this don't make sense no more. You know, you bounce and you grow out of that. So I think people just have to hold their heads up high and kind of look for situations that make sense to them, and just, you know, as you experience life, increase your confidence, put yourself out there as well. You know, learn how to communicate, learn how to talk to people, how to meet people. I think the art of communication, even let me say the audacity to just talk to people, meet people you don't know, and just talk to them like you've known them for years, I think is a dying art. And I think when you have situations where some people are attracted to the bad boys or to the rule breakers, is because at that point you can't do that naturally at that point in time. So, you know, what I mean is, when you're younger, like I said, you don't have the money. When you're younger, you might not have even the experience of talking to people, or you know, putting yourself in a good light and actually just being confident in communicating, because you haven't experienced it yet. You haven't done it yet. You've not been in situations that fosters that growth. So it's like, yeah, I think that is why I think that's why that happens sometimes in those situations. And I think, realistically speaking, you can't beat yourself up about it. Like he was saying, you know, he's in his 30s now. So he was like, it was crazy that what she was even saying. Like, she was saying, oh, are you on road? And he was just like, what do you mean am I on road? We're big 30-year-old people. What are you talking about road? And I remember I had to tell him, I said, bro, that situation don't make no damn sense, bro. You cut that off. At 30, you can't be talking about that. That don't make no damn sense. And that says more about that person's, you know, decision making at that point. So you kind of got to leave that situation as it is. So personally, I think, yeah, you don't got to compete with those situations there. If that is happening to you, or you're trying to pursue someone and they're kind of giving that as well, it's not making sense. And the reality is that all of that sounds good. It sounds groovy. It sounds lovely, you know, on Instagram, on social media. It looks great. It's not great. Nobody ever lives that life and comes out unscathed. Nobody ever lives that life and tells you it's worth it. It always takes more than it gives, and it's not worth it. And it's a crazy situation. And you should never feel any way for being legit, or for taking things in your own time and getting to the destination at the appointed time. Because the reality is that some man that were doing that stuff, some man that were getting the attention back then, some, you know, it's not that now. It's like the situation is not that now. It don't look the same way anymore. It don't look great. The consequences of those type of things are not great. It's not making sense. And some people, you know, some girls that were going after that lifestyle, it's caught up to, they've been collateral damage in that lifestyle as well. You know, you're seeing situations where, oh yeah, hold this in the yard, hold this in the house, and then the police come down and you too, you're going bin as well. So you too, you're going prison as well. So it doesn't make sense. It's not sensible. So For me, I think that's why in some situations you're seeing girls going for the bad boys instead of just like the normal average guy. And also as well, I think social media has a big part to play because it's blowing out the expectations out of proportion. If you ask me, social media has made people crazy. Like, I think it's crazy that some people think that it's just, you come as you are, and then someone just funds your entire lifestyle and you don't do anything. Like, and it's just this it's like they want this endless tap of money and lifestyle, and they don't realize the real world don't work like that. Things take time. Things are not just limitless. There's work that goes into things, and the reality is that a lot of people's idea of relationships is very skewed at the moment. It's very, I think some people, their view is absurd, to be honest with you. It's crazy. Like I said previously, people just see social media. They see the bad man doing whatever he's doing. They see the girl next to him and they think, oh, it's like a Bonnie and Clyde thing. Like, go and read the story of Bonnie and Clyde. That weren't great, bro. That was not great. That's not something you wish for yourself. Like, that lifestyle is not good. It doesn't end well. It's never ended well. So you being attracted to that, you just have to put it up to you're not realizing what it is that's really attractive. All you want, what I think, this is what I think. I just think it's a confidence thing. It's having a backbone. It's being able to have a vision as well. So, and being able to see that vision's coming to pass in terms of, providing. So, if you have a stable job, you have experience, you're competent in your field, you're making decent money, you can pay your bills, you have, a plan maybe to get married, have a house, and on paper, you have stuff to put towards that. You have something to provide towards that. I think that's what the core of these things are. But the problem is the age at which, whatever age you're meeting, that's happening, is when you're younger. It's the juvenile thing, because your brain in those situations, I don't think some people can actually understand what it is they like. So all they know is you're seeing somebody that has things to offer. You're not really thinking that those things come from something that is not maintainable. You're just thinking of the now. And as you get older, your thinking changes. You start to think more long term. You start to look at things, you experience things, and you realize it's air. It doesn't make sense. It's not going to serve you. So for me, I think that's what it is. I think that's what the reality of those situations are. Why some girls will like bad boys, but what you always see, I think most of the time is as time goes on, as people get older, the taste will change, because then you're more older, you're more experienced, and your brain has developed more. Like, you're actually able to think more long term. Like, there's decisions you make when you're younger. You can look back now with a grown mind and say, what the heck was I doing? That does not make any sense. And I think that's just life. So I think people have to understand that. Don't get beat up about that. Don't feel down about it. Face your path. Improve yourself. Be confident in yourself. Learn how to communicate with people. And to just realize that situation, if that's what someone's after and you're not doing that, like, it's not for you. It's not, it's not worth it. Everyone can go after what they like. If the situation is not making sense, or you're trying to pursue someone and you're realizing, wait, is this what you're on? I'm not on that. You move on. So yeah, that's what I think. But like, comment, share. Any topics you want me to talk about, just let me know in the comment box below. Catch you on the next one.